すみません、お待たせしました。見えてるかな？
Nobody's there.
Nobody's there yet.
そうです。
あ、見えてるのかな？
11 watching.
OK
I think people are coming.
すみません、お待たせしました。
안녕하세요. Okay, maybe we should start with
Okay. 治った。OK。We are so sorry. We are Matthew.
죄송합니다. 라이브 한지 1년이 거의 1년 돼서 It's been 1 year since we did the last live, so apologies. konnichiwa, 아빠です.
안녕하세요, 다리입니다.
Hello, we are 아빠 다리.
お久しぶりです。すいません、いろいろトラブってしまって失礼しました。やっと直せました。よかった。Yeah, they can hear us.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. When was our last live?
I think it was last year, April or May.
じゃあ1年ぶり。It's been 1 year.
Yeah. I think every time we do live, we're always struggling. So
1年に1回しかやらないもんで、毎回セッティングとかのやり方を忘れてしまって、失礼しました。
So good morning to everyone in the States and around the world, and good evening and good afternoon.
こんばんは。ライブに先駆けていろいろ質問とかも送っていただいてありがとうございました。今日はこのライブのチャットを通していろいろいただく、もし質問とかがあれば、それにお答えしながら、あと事前にいただいた質問も答えたいと思います。So through this live chat, we want to answer any questions we receive through this live chat. And then, but also in advance to this live, we have received some questions from the viewers, so we're gonna answer to those questions as well.
라이브 전에 시작하기 전에 질문 주신 분들이 많으셨는데요. 일단 감사드리고 그 주신 질문들 답변도 해드리고 또 라이브 때 받는 질문들도 저희가 답변해 드리도록 노력하겠습니다. 네.
Someone mentioned that Appa's sweater is a cat.
Yes. 고양이.
そうですね。Oh, really? Satomin said, I lost weight. That's good news. 痩せたって言われたんですけど、そんなことないです。ちょっと太りました。Gained weight actually.
Good morning, Carmen. Good morning, Greg.
So, first of all, someone asked what our girls are doing. Like, 双子ちゃんまだ寝てますかと聞かれましたが、起きてます。で、今日はですね、毎週土曜日に、韓国語のレッスンを朝1時間受けていて、で、今韓国語の先生が面倒を見てくれてます。で、そのレッスンが終わった後は、今日ライブが1時間よりも伸びるだろうなと思ってるので、レッスン終わった後は友達が面倒見てくれるために今友達が家に待機してくれてます。So like every Saturday we have a Korean lesson in the morning for 1 hour. So now our girls are taking Korean lesson.
네, 지금 저희 딸들은 한국어 과외 중입니다. 네. 그래서 예.
Yeah, lab girls new haircuts. そうですね。すでにご存知の方もいるように、最近子供たちの長い腰まであった髪の毛をざっくりと、切りまして、新しいヘアスタイルになって子供たちもすごく喜んでます。They love their new haircuts, right?
Yeah. And it looks ready for the spring because it was too long.
そうですね。And then, 日本語のレッスンは受けられてますか？ What about Japanese lesson? 日本語のレッスンは特に先生とかはつけてないんですけれども、なぜか日本語の方が元からちょっと2人とも得意で覚えが早くて、で、多分うちに日本人の友達がいっぱい遊びに来たりして、みんなに日本語で話してもらってるので、それで自然と日本語をこうキャッチアップ、日本語を覚えていくのが身についていて、単語とか、あとは何か話した後に、例えば朝早いとかって言うと、早いって何って言って聞いてきて、早いってこういう意味だよとか教えたりとか、日本語で自然に身についてたので、ちょっと韓国語のが遅かったので、そっちをキャッチアップしようとして、コリアンのレッスンです。So our girls, somehow they learned Japanese a little bit better, like quicker. So we want them to, we want to have their Korean skills to catch up their Japanese skills. So now we are having a Korean lesson.
아무래도 저희 친구들이 일본 친구들이 조금 더 많아요. 그래서 애들이 일본어를 좀 더 잘 이해해서 한국어도 좀 그 일본어만큼 하는 수준으로 끌어올리기 위해서 한국어 과외를 시키고 있고요. 일본어 과외는 따로 안 시키고 있습니다. 예.
And they are like Japanese and Korean skills. They can speak a little bit of words. Like they are developing the vocabulary, definitely. But they can understand what we are talking about. So 日本語と韓国語で僕たちが話しても結構今みたいなスピードで話しても大体理解してます。で、まだ言葉にして出してくるのはちょっとまだ難しいみたいですけど、聞くのは大丈夫です。Yeah.
Should we start with the questions?
Okay.
You're reading the chat messages too?
OK。じゃあちょっといただいた質問少し読んでみますね。Do you have any dates while kids are at school? 双子が子供に、双子が子供じゃない、双子は子供です。双子ちゃんが学校に行ってる間、僕たち2人でデート行ったりするんですかっていう質問がありましたが、学校行ってる時は平日なので、僕たちは仕事があるのでデートはしていません。多分今までで一回お昼にそれぞれの会社の間を取ってランチを食べたぐらいですかね。So we only did once, lunch date.
질문이 저희 이제 애들이 학교 간 동안에 아빠하고 데디가 가끔 데이트를 즐기냐고 물어주시는데요. 한 번도 제대로 데이트한 적 없고요. 런치 데이트 한 번 했어요. 둘 다 이제 회사에서 일하다가 잠깐 나와가지고 같이 런치 한 번 먹은 거. 예.
Another question is, are you guys coming to Japan this year? 今年も日本に来ますかという質問がありました。今年もですね、おそらく夏頃に、行きたいと思います。So, another question is if we are coming to Japan this year again? We are planning to come to Japan and Korea this year again. But last year, our trip to Asia, like we had more days in Japan and shorter days in Korea. So this year, we're gonna, swap, and then we will have more days in Korea and shorter days in Japan. 去年はですね、日本にいた時間が長くて、韓国がちょっとだけ立ち寄った程度だったので、今年はその逆で、韓国に長くいて、日本にちょっと立ち寄る程度になるかと思っています。
올해는 작년에는 일본에 좀 더 길게 있었기 때문에 올해는 여름에 갔을 때 한국에 더 길게 있고 일본은 좀 잠깐 들리는 일정으로 계획을 좀 잡고 있습니다. 네.
And 日本でイベントはありますか? Are we planning to have an event in Japan? So last year we held our first event to meet our viewers in Tokyo. So this year we want to have another event, but we haven't decided any detail, like any venue or location. そう、今年もまたイベントやるんですかというご質問ですけれども、去年東京でやって、とても楽しくて、皆さんにも喜んでいただけて、今年もぜひやりたいと思っているんですが、どこでやるかとかはまだ決まってないです。
So, 저기 작년에는 이제 도쿄에서 저희가 저희 구독자분들과 만나는 이벤트를 가졌는데요. 올해는 아직까지 구체적으로 정한 건 없고요. 서울에서 할까? 오사카에서 할까? 그런 생각만 하고 있는 중입니다. 구체적인 거는 아직 저희가 조금 정신이 없어가지고 생각 못 해봤는데 아무래도 이제 곧 여름이니까 준비를 해야 될 것 같아요. 예.
今、アッパーが韓国語で話した中でちょっと聞こえたかもしれませんが、今のところ候補は、大阪でやろうか、でもしくは日本滞在が短いので、やるのが難しかったら、韓国でっていうと、皆さん来るのが難しいと思いますが、ソウルか大阪でやろうかと考えています。
네. But if we do have an event, please understand we're not going to bring our girls. 그러니까 이벤트를 하게 되더라도 저희 애들은 아직 너무 어려서 참가하지 않는 이벤트가 될 겁니다. 네.
ですね、イベントをやるとしても前回と同じで、おそらく僕たちだけ、子供たちがいるともう何もお話しする余裕もないと思うので、僕たちだけになるとご理解ください。So even if we hold another event, there will be only two of us because if there are kids, there is no chance for us to talk to you guys. We're gonna be so busy.
이유희님이 서울에서도 해주세요, 열어주세요. So there was a Korean comment. Please hold it in Seoul. 한국에서는 저희 그 채널 보시는 분이 그렇게 많지 않아서 이게 이벤트를 열어도 오시는 분이 계실지 잘 모르겠어요. So, so I don't know. So many of our viewers are from Japan, as you know. So I'm not sure how many people will get to participate if we hold it in Seoul. But obviously, I'm Korean. I'm from Seoul, so I want to do it in Korea. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And Carmen has been asking, can I get a hello from Appa? Hi, Carmen. Good morning.
Oh, so through this live chat, we received a question from a Japanese and Korean couple raising a kid, and how you teach like three languages to our kids. 今ですね、ちょっと前にですね、日本と韓国の夫婦の方で、日韓のハーフのお子さんを、育てていらっしゃる方から、日本語、韓国語、英語の教育、その方も日本語、韓国語、英語、3カ国語の教育をしていらっしゃるそうで、どのように語学教育をされていますか？How we teach them the three languages. This is very difficult. すごく難しいです。ただですね、友達でその方自身がハーフで、日本と、アメリカのハーフかな。で、もう子供の頃育っているうちは片方の言葉しか喋れなかったんだけれども、もう片方の言葉を喋る親御さんはずっとその言葉で話し続けていたから耳にずっと入ってきて、で、話はしなかったけども聞くのは分かってた。で、いざ自分が話してみるともう頭に耳から入ってきてたから割とスムースにいけたというのをアドバイスを聞いて、僕たちもそれを一生懸命やってます。なのでもう僕はずっと日本語で話し続けて、アッパはずっと韓国語で話し続けてます。Did you understand what I said?
No.
So,
But you talk so well.
so we got advice from Japanese and American half friend, and then she said because when she was young, she only spoke one language, but the parent who speaks the other language kept trying to talk to her in that language all the time, so that naturally, like in her brain, like she gradually developed that language skill. So once she decided to speak that language, it was easy. So she told us to always try to speak to them in our language. So I always speak to them in Japanese most of the time, and then Appa uses Korean most of the time.
그 3개 국어를 어떻게 애들한테 가르쳐 주고 있는지 여쭤봐 주셨는데요. 저희 친구가 해준 얘기가 그 친구가 이제 일본 부모님하고 미국 부모님 밑에서 자랐는데 어렸을 때는 정말 영어만 했대요. 근데 그 일본 부모님이 계속 일본어를 하니까 자기가 한 티네이저가 됐을 때 일본어를 하고 싶은 마음이 생겼을 때 그게 너무 쉬웠다는 거예요. 그러니까 이미 자기가 일본어를 이해는 하고 있기 때문에 말하는 거 배우는 거는 그렇게 어렵지 않았다. 그래서 저희 부로도 계속 아빠는 한국말로 하고 내 아들은 일본말로 해주는 게 결국에는 도움이 될 거다 해서 저희 노력하고 있는데 그게 쉽지가 않아요. 왜냐하면 애들은 계속 영어로 얘기를 하니까 저희가 어떨 때는 저희도 답답하니까 영어를 하게 되고, 예. 근데 노력하고 있는 중입니다.
あとですね、今、子供たちの送り迎えは、アパとだって2人でやってるんですか？So, another question is if we do like a pick up and drop off by like two of us, or do you have nanny, or how do you manage our work and life balance?
うん
So, 今、ライブチャットの中で2人でお迎えをして、送り迎えをしてるんですかとか、何ってなんていうんだっけ、子供の面倒を見てくれる人がいるんですかとか、あとどうやって仕事と、普段の生活のバランスをとってるんですか。これ同じような質問を事前にもいただいていて、どのように子供たちが風邪をひいた時とかどういうふうに面倒見てますかとか、あと会社とか同僚の方の理解とかっていうのはどうなんでしょうかみたいな質問があったんですけれども、2人で分けてやってます。できる限り朝のお見送りは2人でやるようにしてますが、お迎えは片方がやってます。今僕たち仕事がオフィスで働く日と、家で働く日半々ずつになっているので、我々ずらしてオフィスに行くようにして、片方は家にいるようになるべくしています。なので家にいる方がお迎えをしに行く感じです。Did you understand?
But can I answer in English quickly?
Yeah.
We don't have a nanny, but
yeah.
somehow we just managed to make it work. So as you know, a lot of workplaces now have this hybrid model, like work a couple of days at home and come to the office a couple of days a week. So we always try to make sure like when one of us has to go to the office, the other one stays home, so the other person can do the pickup. We do the drop off always together, but obviously there are some unexpected, sickness or things happening, so we just have to work together to manage. And thankfully, our employers are very understanding. So yeah.
そうですね。で、会社も同僚も会社もそういう子育てもしやすい環境で2人とも。で、同僚の方たちの理解も得られていて、例えば風邪ひいてオフィスに行く予定だったけれども行けないとかなった時にも同僚がカバーしてくれたりとか、でもそれはお互い様で向こうに何か用事がある時は僕がカバーしたりとかアッパーがカバーしたり、お互いに支え合ってやってる感じです。
그 질문이 저희가 내니가 있는지 물어봐 주셨는데요. 내니는 없고요. 대신에 이제 뉴욕 같은 경우는 그 하이브리드 워크 모델이라고 해서 일주일에 뭐 이틀이나 3일은 자택근무하고 그리고 이틀이나 3일은 오피스 나가는 그런 모델이 이제 거의 정착돼 가지고요. 예를 들면 데디가 오피스 나가는 날은 제가 집에 있고 그래서 제가 픽업을 하고 그런 식으로 이제 조율해 가면서 하는데 어떻게 다 잘 되더라고요. 예, 저희도 걱정을 좀 했는데 다른 가정들을 보면은 내니가 많은데 저희는 내니 없이 어떻게 지금까지는 잘 버티고 있습니다. 네.
そうですね。で、ちょっと僕たちのことを喋りすぎちゃったので、ちょっと子供たちのこともお話ししますね。So we were talking about mostly like ourselves. So maybe let's talk about our girls. 事前にいただいた質問で子供たちが一番好きな食べ物は何ですか？ So we have received the question like what are our girls' favorite dishes? As you know from by watching our videos, they eat anything. So ビデオを見てご覧の通り何でも食べます。
네.
うん。
애들이 좋아하는 음식이 뭐냐? 뭐 저희 채널 보신 분들은 아시겠지만 저희 딸들은 가리는 음식이 없습니다. 그래서 너무 저희 이제 부모로서 운이 좋은 거고요. 첫째 는 뭐 다 좋아하는데 라멘?
うん。
라멘
ヌードル。
좋아하고
うん。
야채도 좋아하고 vegetables
うん。
좋아하고 그리고 막내 같은 경우는 고기, meat,
うん。ピッツァ。
피자?
うん。
근데 진짜 다 잘
う
먹어요.
ん。
So they have their own favorite food, but
うん。
they'll eat whatever
う
we
ん。
give them. So we're really very lucky in that respect. So older one, she loves ramen, Japanese ramen. She loves mandu, Korean dumpling.
うん。
Younger one, she loves meat, she
うん。
loves fish, she loves pizza.
うん。
But they eat everything and they love
あ、
vegetables. Yeah.
おやすみなさい。Somebody said I'm going to sleep. そうです
Uh-huh.
ね。まあ子供なんで、でもやっぱり何でも食べる中でもピザが好きだったりとか、肉が好きだったりとかあるんですが、まあ、上の子は結構麺類が好きで、ラーメンとかうどんとか。で、下の子の方はお肉とかが好きですね。で、あとはなんか餃子とかも2人とも好きで、昨日上の子は餃子をなんか7個ぐらい食べて、すごいびっくりしました。So, but although they have their kind of favorite food, what makes our life easy is they really eat anything, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, like when I didn't have enough time to prepare like different kind of dishes, sometimes I just give them a stick of celery,
Yeah, celery. Yeah.
or carrot,
sticks.
yeah, carrot sticks, but they just enjoy eating that. そう、でもいろいろまあ好きなものもたくさんあるんですけれども、すごく僕たちが助かってるのが、本当に何でも食べてくれるので、本当に料理をする時間がなくて、ちょっとこれだけだと栄養偏るなと思った時に、ポンとセロリ1本とか、人参のスティックとかをポンって皿の上に置いてみたところ、普通にバリバリ喜んで食べて、セロリも2本目とかを食べたりしてくれるので、野菜とか別に料理しなくても食ってくれるんだと思って、そこはちょっと助かってます。
데디가 너무 바빠가지고 이제 음식 차릴 시간이 없어서 이제 또 데디가 절대로 그냥 한 음식만 주지 않거든요. 여러 가지를 준비해서 주는데 좀 바빠가지고 샐러리 스틱하고 캐럿 스틱을 줬더니 너무 잘 먹는 거예요. 그냥 생 야채를. 그래서 정말 저희가 보면서 우리 애들 너무 착하다. 그리고 정말 우리는 운이 좋은 부모다. 그런 얘기를 했던 에피소드가 있습니다. 예.
そうですね。双子ちゃんお店のお菓子は控えてますか？ Do they eat like snacks we buy from outside, like maybe donuts or cakes? ですね、平日は基本的に家では甘いお菓子とかは一切食べてません。ジュースとかも飲んでないです。So usually on weekdays we don't give them any snacks or not any snacks, but like sweet snacks or juice. Only on weekends or on special occasions we give them those sweets.
그래서 저희는 이제 집에 있을 때 평일에는 애들한테 뭐 간식 같은 걸 많이 주지 않아요. 특히 단 거는 안 주고요. 진짜 주말에 아니면 뭐 휴일 같은 데 아니면 여행 갔을 때 뭐 주스 주거나 아니면은 아이스크림 같은 것도 주곤 하는데 평상시에는 그런 간식 특히 단 거는 안 줍니다.
네. Some questions we received actually similar questions in advance too, but what about their personalities? 双子ちゃんの個性はどんな感じですか？
저희 딸들의 성격이 어떤지 비슷한 점이나 다른 점이 있는지 before the live we actually talked about it but it's very hard. Why don't you go first?
そうですね。事前にその双子の子供たちの個性の違いとか似ているところはどんなところですかって質問をいただいて、って考えてるんですけど、なかなか難しいですね。2人ともすごく違うんですけれども、 あえて言うならば、なんだろうな、例えば運動とか新しいことに挑戦するときに、上の子はまず怖いもの知らずでどんどんやってきます。で、下の子の方は、どういうふうにやるのかなって、こう、人がやってるのを見て、こう、やり方を研究して、慎重に進む感じですね。なので、例えば例を言うと、最近子供の遊び場にある小さい子用の運転に手が届くように、ギリギリ手が届くようになったんですけれども、上の子はもうその一つ目の運転にちょっと指が触るぐらいだったんですけれども、背伸びかジャンプをして一本こう掴んで、で、そのまま二本目もこう行って、で、ぶら下がりながら、ちょっと遠くにいた僕たちを呼ぶみたいな感じでしたね。So, I explained that, in terms of the physical like challenges,
Mm-hmm.
our older one is more like fearless,
Mm-hmm.
whereas our younger one is more cautious.
Mhm.
Because she tries to observe other people how to do it,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
What else?
Maybe in
That's
Korea.
all. 저희 딸들, 그러니까 첫째는 이 뭐 운동 같은 거나 아니면은 뭐 수영 같은 거 이런 거에 있어서는 정말 겁이 없어요. 일단 직행하는 스타일인데 막내는 좀 일단 주위를 좀 살펴보고 일단 이게 뭔지 좀 자기가 해도 되는지 좀 조심스럽게 접근하는 스타일이에요. 예. 근데 similarities, they're both sweet. 둘 다 되게 스윗하고 좀 마음씨가 착한 애들인 것 같아요. I think inside they're very, very kind. Yeah. But doesn't always show.
そうですね。二人の似ているところといえば、二人ともとても、スイートって、スイートだから、甘いじゃないんですけど、二人ともすごく優しいですね。だから僕たちのことも心配してくれるし、周りのお友達のこととかも、心配したり気にかけたり、してる、すごく優しいところとか、二人とも少しシャイ、最近はちょっとシャイ、a little bit shy。でも、二人ともすごくloud、うるさいですね。
They're both shy a little bit. I think shyer than other kids, at least from my observation. But once they're comfortable, they're very loud. Like obviously there are kids and 아빠 and daddy are loud people. So 그러니까 애들이 조금 낯을 가리는 타입인 것 같아요. 다른 애들하고 비교했을 때. 근데 일단 좀 친해지고 나면 되게 이제 목소리도 크고 그래서 저희가 맨날 하는 말이 그래 그럼 그렇지 아빠 데디 딸들인데 목소리가 당연히 크겠지.
And do they have like different preferences in terms of what to wear? そうなんか身につけるものとかで二人の好みは違いますかとありますが、First of all, our younger one is very into what she wears. Yeah? まず身につけるものの好みの違いとかはあんまりないかもしれないんですが、まず下の子の方が最近特にファッションにうるさくなってまいりました。
저희 막내가 정말 패션에 완전히 요즘 빠져 있어요. 한 1, 2년 벌써 된 것 같은데 굉장히 자기가 뭘 입는지 뭘 입고 싶어 하는지에 대한 의견이 뚜렷해요. So younger one is into fashion. I think maybe from a year ago to even 2 years ago, she is very interested in what she wears and she has very strong opinion about what she wants to wear. But the good thing is
Only dress!
Yeah, yeah, she wants to always wear only dress. But I pick out the clothes for them, and she does go along with it. She will say, "I want to wear a dress," and I'll say, "Okay, then you can wear a dress maybe on Saturday," and then she'll let it go. 그래서 애들 그 막내 같은 경우는 드레스를 너무 좋아해서 매일 입고 싶어요. 근데 이제 제가 아침에 이제 뭘 입을지 그 전날 미리 다 정해놓거든요. 근데 그래도 정해진 옷을 주면 그대로 입고는 가요. 대신에 이제 드레스 입고 싶다 그러면은 그래 오늘은 안 되고 오늘 학교 가는 날이니까 토요일 날 드레스 입자 하면은 이해를 하고 예.
そうですね、ドレスを着たいって毎日のように言ってた時もあったんですけれども、でも学校に行くと 体育の時間だったり、ダンスの時間だったりがあるので、やっぱり動きやすいようにとか、あと転んだ時に膝怪我しにくいようにとかで、やっぱりパンツを履かせたいという気持ちがあったので、僕たちは基本的には月から木、Monday to Thursday, they usually wear pants. 月から木はパンツ履かせて、金曜日だけは特別な日だよということでドレスを着て。
So we always make sure when they go to school, we want them to be comfortable because their physical education, PE classes, dance classes, we want them to be comfortable. We want them to be able to freely move. So we don't let them wear dress on Monday through Thursday unless it's a special day. And on Friday, you know, we sometimes let them wear dress. And on weekends when we go out to like a restaurant, then that's when they will wear dress. 그래서 월요일부터 목요일까지는 학교 가니까 절대 드레스는 안 주고요. 그리고 이제 금요일은 이제 그래도 금요일이니까 드레스 입혀 보낼 때도 있고, 그리고 토요일하고 일요일에는 이제 밖에 나가서 외식할 때는 이제 드레스를 주면 되게 좋아하죠. But I noticed that older one is really actually starting to getting into appreciate and I think she is starting to kind of maybe get into maybe her eyes are opening up to fashion a little bit. 첫째도 한 최근에 자기 이제 뭘 입는지 드레스를 입으면 자기가 이쁜지 이런 걸 조금씩 알아가는 것 같아요.
そうですね。上の子も最近着るものとかに興味が出てきたようで、やっぱり可愛い服とかを着ると盛り上がったりしてますね。でなので、金曜日はドレスを着るので、月から木は、朝早く準備するときにいろいろ、髪型をやったりするのも、時間ないんで簡単にちょっと結んだだけとかで月から木は済ますんですけれども、金曜日だけは前の晩に明日ドレス着るから早く起きようねっつって、だから早く寝ようねっつって木曜の夜は結構早く寝て、で金曜早く起きて、僕も早く起きて、髪の毛もドレスに合うようにやってます。So in terms of their hairstyles, from Monday to Thursday, since we are also busy, like we don't have enough time to make like a complicated styles. But this Fridays, everybody, including girls, wake up early so that we have enough time to make cute hairs, which will match with dresses. Yeah.
그래서 월요일부터 목요일까지는 헤어스타일도 좀 간단하고 간편한 걸로 해주고요, 데디가. 이제 금요일에 이제 드레스 입고 가는 날이 있으니까 많으니까 데디가 금요일에 이제 둘 다 조금 일찍 일어나서 머리도 더 이쁘게 따주고. 예.
Thank you very much. ありがとうございます。ヘアアレンジ上手くなりましたねとか腕上げましたねと。So couple people mentioned that my hair arranging skills improved.
すごいです。So I have a funny episode. 저희 막내가 진짜 드레스를 좋아하잖아요. 그래서 저희 이제 부모님이 할비가 선물을 보내준 게 있어요. 그래서 소포가 와서 소포를 뜯어놨는데 이제 그걸 본 거예요. 그래서 그 안에 드레스가 있는 걸 보고 이제 막내가 저 드레스 자기 거냐고. 그래서 제가 장난으로 제가 애들을 잘 놀리거든요. 그래서 아빠 거다. 아빠가 입을 거다. 그랬더니 완전히 대성통곡을 하면서 막 울어서 달래주셨던 일이. So I'm telling them about the dress episode.
Black dress?
Yeah, so my parents sent dresses for the girls for their upcoming birthday. And younger one happened to see the dress and she was asking, is that dress for me? And then I like to tease the girls, so I said, no, that's mine. Appa is gonna wear it. And then she just went like bonkers and just crying, and it took a while for me to like calm her down.
そうですね。今アッパが言ってたのが上の子も下の子もドレスが好きで、特に下の子がもうドレスに夢中なんですけれども、韓国のおじいちゃんおばあちゃんがちょっと前に送ってくれたドレスがあって、でそれをリビングの片隅に置いてたら、下の子がそれを見つけて、もう自分のだって分かってるんだけれども、これ誰のドレスっていうふうにアッパに聞いてきて、でもアッパはちょっとからかいたくなって、これアッパのだよ、アッパが着るんだよってずっと言い続けてたら、もう下の子は激しく泣いてましたね。
And I think we also got a question And then I saw a question from the chat room about KBS documentary,
Oh.
whether it's still in the works.
음.
그래서 몇 분이 여쭤봐 주셨는데요. KBS 다큐멘터리, 그 정말 하는 거냐. 그래서 원래는 5월 방송 예정이었는데요. 예, 10월, 11월로 방송될 거로 알고 있고, 예, 잘 찍어서 잘 나왔으면 좋겠는데 잘 모르겠어요. So KBS documentary, it's definitely in the works. Originally scheduled for May, but we understand it got pushed to October or November. So please stay tuned.
そうですね。今チャットの方でも質問が来て、事前にも同じ質問あったんですけれども、韓国のテレビ局 KBS のが作成する僕たち家族についてのドキュメンタリーは本当にあるんですか、作られるんですかという質問なんですけれども、もともとは5月ぐらいに放送を予定されてたんですけれども、ちょっといろいろと押したりとかしてて、多分秋頃10月とか11月にはKBS で放送がされるような感じです。そして放送された後はYouTube にも動画が上がるようで、日本語のサブタイ、字幕もつけてくれるようにお願いしているので、日本語でもお楽しみいただけるのではと思ってます。うん。ですね。
So I have a question.
For me?
For the not for you, yes. Let's go talk to each other. So if we do hold an event in Seoul, will any of you from Japan come visit Seoul?
That's so difficult. もし、今からアパが聞いてたのが、もし韓国でイベントをやったとしたら、来てくれますかって聞いてるんですけども、それはまあ難しいですよね。でもしでも韓国でやるとしたら、前回東京のやつは簡単にランチを囲みながら3 hours event we had in Tokyo?
Was it 3 hours?
I think so.
Wow.
で、3時間かなのイベントだったんですけれども、もしはるばる韓国までいらしてくださる方がいるのであれば、3時間とかのイベントじゃなくて、例えばここでランチをし終わった後に、マイクロバスみたいなのを手配して、それでどっかに移動してちょっと一緒に観光したりとかしてっていうようなのを考えてて、ただそれでも半日とか1日のことなので、もしそれを含めて例えば3泊4日とかで韓国旅行に来て、その他の日はそれぞれのことをしていただくようなことができればいいかななんて思ってます。So if we hold an event in Korea, like when we had an event in Tokyo, that was like a 3 hours event including lunch, like a 3 hours event over lunch. But if some people can come from like other country to Seoul, we are thinking maybe this time like we will have like a longer event, like for example, start from the lunch and then everybody get on the bus and then go to some like sightseeing place.
Really?
I'm gonna hold a flag. こちらですよってこう。
만약에 저희가 이제 이벤트를 올해 서울에서 하게 되면 만약 일본에서 오시는 분들이 있으면 난 데디가 이런 생각까지 하는 건 잘 몰랐는데 버스를 대절을 해서 관광을 하고 자기가 관광 가이드 한다고 Let's see. 그게 정말 현실 가능한지 실현 가능한지 보겠습니다. Let's see if that can be really materialized.
And then another question is like when will it be? 時期を早めに教えてほしいですということなんですが、月は決まってます。We know the month, yeah?
Yeah, it's August.
8月のどこかですね、8月。
And actually, number 2 is in this chat room. He's joining. He said he will be the shuttle driver, bus driver. 셔틀 버스는 number 2가 해준다고.
シャトルバスは僕たちの友達のナンバー2が運転すると手を挙げてくれてるみたいです。ですね。なのでイベントもしまたできることがあったらお会いできることを楽しみにしております。ですね。 韓国のイベント楽しいでしょうね。いろいろ食べて飲んで。Okay, let's go back to some questions
Number
about.
two said hi,
うん
daddy.
あ、안녕. Number two.
One of them said, if number two is there, I'm in.
うん
And this viewer is from New Jersey, United States. 뉴저지에 계신 분이 넘버 2가 참여를 한다면 자기는 당연히 all in이라고. 네.
でね、今、アメリカに住んでいる、ニュージャージー州に住んでいる方が、ナンバー2が来るなら私も行きますって言ってくれてますね。
여전히 쉽지 않은 넘버 2의 인기.
MGE は、yeah, of course MGE will join too.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
맹꽁이.
Okay.
What
And
else
let's
do we
go
have?
back to like some other questions. Another question was, what was the best food in Japan from the last trip in Tokyo? この前、日本旅行、東京旅行に行って一番美味しかったものは何ですか？そこ、すごく難しい。Very difficult question.
예. 작년에 일본 갔을 때 제일 맛있게 먹은 음식이 뭐였냐? 솔직히 너무 질문이 어려워요. 왜냐면 간단한 질문이지만 너무 음식이 다 맛있어가지고요. 하지만 그래도 꼽자면 맨무이쭈이라는 라멘 집에 갔는데 너무 맛있더라고요. 그리고 또 다른 게 뭐였지? What was the other ramen shop?
麦とオリーブ。
무기또 오리브 긴자에 있는 리슨 긴자. 그리고 저희가 친구가 소개시켜줘서 추천해줘서 갔던 스시집도 너무 맛있었고요.
寿司だけ。
그리고 데디의 어머니가 해준 음식들도 너무 맛있어요. 그냥 집에서 해주는 그 엄마 밥, 그 맛있었어요. So
Thank you.
yeah, so I think if I had to pick, definitely ramen places. If you guys need recommendation, send us a message and we can give you the names of the restaurant. And then there was a sushi restaurant our friend recommended. It was really, really good. And the home cooking by daddy's mom, Oba-chan. Oba-chan's cooking was so good too. Yes.
そうですね。東京で美味しかったものは何ですかということですごく悩んだんですけれども、まず2つラーメン屋さん、僕的には3つあるんですけれども、1つ目は僕の地元で出前で頼んだラーメンと、あとは麦とオリーブっていうラーメン屋さん、銀座からちょっとのところにあったんですが、そこのハマグリラーメンで、あとは、麺三井、浅草からちょっとのところにあるラーメン屋さんも絶品でした。であとは友達が紹介してくれた寿司竹というお寿司屋さんと、あとはアッパは僕の母親が作った家の料理もすごく美味しかったと言ってくれてました。
Oh, by the way, MG is also joining this live. 안녕 맹꽁이.
안녕 MG。MG もナンバー2も2人ともこれ見てるみたいです。今こちらは何時ですか？ What time is it now here? It's almost 10. 今そちら夜の11時だと思いますが、こちらは朝の、10時です。Because it's very difficult to read my own handwriting. So 今自分が書いたメモ、事前にいただいた質問をアッパーと共有するためにメモで書いてたんですけれども、全然自分のメモが読めなくて汚すぎて悩んでって言ってましたですね。そうですね。事前にいただいていた質問で、いずれYouTube で子供たちの顔を出すこととかをやめたりとか、あとはYouTube をいつまでやるかとかなんか考えたりしてるんですかという質問です。Another question is like, are you considering quitting YouTube someday?
그래서 어떤 분이 유튜브 채널을 이제 관둘 계획이 있느냐, 이게 계속될 거냐, 아니면은 어느 순간에는 이제 더 이상 유튜브를 안 할 거냐 물어봐 주시는데, 사실 이거는 저희 둘이 가끔 하는 얘기예요. 솔직히 저희 일하고 육아하면서 유튜브까지 하는 게 좀 버거울 때가 많고 그래서 올 초에는 한 올해까지만 하자 뭐 이런 얘기도 했었어요. 근데 사실 진짜로 저희가 그 구독자분들이 남겨주신 코멘트 뭐 댓글들을 보면 저희도 너무 또 감동을 받고 저희도 힘을 얻어가서 일단은 할 수 있는 데까지 해보자가 계획인 것 같아요. 그리고 아무리 좀 애들이 좀 더 크면 이제 애들이 자기네가 유튜브에 나와서 이렇게 공개된다는 걸 알았을 때 애들이 싫다고 하면은 당연히 관둬야겠죠. So this is a topic that Appa and Daddy we talk about from time to time, and then earlier this year we were maybe saying maybe just let's do it through this year, because it is somewhat challenging sometimes. Working, parenting, and doing YouTube. But also we get so inspired by the feedback and the comments that we receive from all of our viewers. So I think for now we're just gonna keep going. But when our girls do grow up and they realize they're on YouTube, their life is kind of made public and they don't feel comfortable with it, then obviously we'll stop at that point. Yeah.
そうですね。YouTube をやめたりすることを考えてますかっていう質問があって、こういうこと言うとなんかやめる詐欺みたいになっても嫌なんであれなんですけど、今年のに入ってからかな、アパと2人で、いつまでやろうか、今年いっぱいかなとか、そういう話とかは、したりしました。で、やっぱり仕事をしながら、また子育てもしながらで、YouTube に費やせる時間も限られてるので、両立していくのは、3足のわらじを履いていくのは難しいよねみたいな感じで話はしてました。でもただやっぱりやっていく中でやっぱり大変なんですけれども、 YouTube を通して皆さんからいただくコメントとかで僕たちもすごく学んだりとか嬉しかったりとかがあるので、できる限りずっと続けようかなと思ってます。ただ子供がもう少し大きくなって自分たちの顔がやっぱり出るのは嫌だとか、そういうのがあったらもうすぐに多分やめますね。でもしばらくはやってると思います。で、in relates to that question, we received another question. What kind of situations make you feel happy about you've started YouTube? その、YouTube 関連での別の質問で、YouTube を始めてからどんな時に嬉しくハッピーに感じますかという質問が事前にありました。Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So what kind of situations make you feel like you're glad you started YouTube? There are many, many moments where we're so happy with the decision to open our channel. Especially when we inspire other people. Also, we get inspired by, them getting inspired. And then recently there was a comment, it was in Arabic. I believe that person was, from Middle East country, I think. And I think she or he is a Muslim, but after watching our baptism video, he said he never really knew much about Catholicism or Christianity, but it made him or her think that she wants to at least visit church to see how it is. And that was a very powerful statement, at least to me, because it's just a normal life, what we show on YouTube, but through that some people are getting interested in other people and also in LGBTQ issues. So those are the moments that are very special to me.
そうですね。 YouTube やってて嬉しく感じる時はどんな時ですかという質問なんですけれども、結構頻繁にありますね。僕たちが何かを配信していることでそれが他の方に何て言うのかな、感銘を与えるって言ったら仰々しいけれども、他の方に何か気づきとかそういうものを受け取ってもらえたりとか、その逆でコメントをいただいた時に我々もやっぱり学びとか気づきをいただいたりとか、そういうのが嬉しいですね。で、今アッパが言ってたのは最近アップロードした子供たちのカトリックの 洗礼式のビデオを見て、アラビア語でメッセージが届いて、多分中東の方なんですけれども、カトリック、キリスト教ではないけれども、とても感動しましたと。でいつかキリスト教の教会を訪れてみたいですとか、そういう、子育てとかに関することじゃなくて、何か配信している内容について何かこう受け取ってもらって考えてもらったりとかしてるんだなって分かるときとかはやっぱり嬉しいですね。Did you explain that in Korean? 한국어
한국어로 대답하는 거 깜빡했네요. 유튜브 시작한 결정에 대해서 어쩔 때 우리가 잘 유튜브를 시작했다 이렇게 느끼냐고 여쭤봐 주셨는데요. 굉장히 그런 순간은 많아요. 그러니까 저희 비디오를 보시고 용기를 힘을 내시거나 아니면 뭐 용기를 얻었다는 내용의 그런 댓글을 봤을 때 저희도 감동을 받고요. 그리고 또 최근에 저희 딸들 그 영세하는 그 비디오를 보고 아무래도 그 무슬림 이슬람 종교를 믿는 분이신 것 같은데 그걸 보고 정말 다 종교는 멋있고 아름답고 그래서 자기도 우리 비디오를 보고 한번 성당에 가보고 싶다 그런 글을 남기셨는데 그걸 보고서는 진짜 작은 사소한 저의 일상이지만 그걸 통해서 자기 생각, 자기가 가지고 있는 편견 이런 것들에 대해서 궁금증, 의문을 가지고 할 수 있다는 그런 점에서 되게 좋은 것 같아요. 이렇게 횡설수설하는 것 같은데. 네, 예. Okay.
Let's move on to some different topic. At home, do they eat like Japanese or Korean or American style? 家で食べる食事は日本料理ですか、韓国料理ですかとか、あと和食好きですか、洋食好きですかとか、食べ物に関する質問をいただいてますが、家で作るときは mostly like Japanese style、like 和食であったり、なんだろうね。I'm mixing up Japanese and English. So at home, our cooking is mostly like Japanese style, like Japanese food or even if it's like Italian or like American food, but since it's cooked by Japanese, it's a little bit of Japanese style Italian, Japanese style American food. So 日本でこっちで家で食べるのは、ほとんど僕が作ることが多いので、和食であったり、イタリアンだったり、他の国っぽい料理だったとしても、やっぱり日本人の僕が作るので、日本的なイタリアンとかそういう感じですね。
In English, please.
I already did.
You did? So, 집에서 주로 먹는 애들 음식이 뭐냐면 거의 이제 요리는 데디가 하기 때문에 특히 애들 태어나고는 제가 거의 요리는 이제 안 하는 안 하고 거의 데디가 하기 때문에 좀 일본식으로 많이 먹는 것 같아요. 그리고 뭐 이탈리안을 집에서 요리를 해도 약간 일본 스타일로 그런 것 같습니다. 네.
ですね。で、あとはでも、家で食べるとき、本当に平日は忙しいので、結構簡単にそんな凝ったものは作れてないですね。So like our weekdays, like simple dinner. We don't have time to make difficult ones.
So someone asked, she's a regular commenter. How are you gonna manage kids? How do you manage kids so well during travel? International style and culture well done. 애들이 여행할 때 그렇게 말을 잘 듣느냐고 물어봐 주신 것 같은데요. 애들이 여행을 좋아해요. They love traveling. Yeah? 그래서 요즘 특히 첫째가 계속 호텔 타령이에요. So nowadays older one is like hotel. She really wants to go to hotel, meaning she wants to travel. So 그래서 그 얘기를 듣고 이제 우리가 여행을 한번 가야 될 때가 왔구나. So I'm thinking it's about time we go to, have a short trip or something.
ですね。他にもう一ついただいていたコメントが、どうやってそんなに子供たちを旅行するときに子供たちがちゃんとしてられるんですかみたいな質問があったんですけど、まず2人とももう旅行が大好きで、もう楽しみにしてますね。で、上の子はもう最近いつも I wanna go to hotel, I wanna go to hotel ホテルに行きたい、ホテルに行きたい、ホテルに行って海に行きたいとか言ってますので、多分そろそろどっかに連れて行かなきゃいけない時期かなと思ってます。
And also, our regular commenter, our viewer asked if there's any plan for collaboration with other YouTubers. No, not really. Yeah. Obviously, we always welcome, but we don't proactively seek out because just getting an episode posted twice a month is sometimes challenging. So we are mostly focused on that. So 다른 유튜브 채널과 뭐 콜라보할 계획이 있느냐고 물어봐 주는데요. 뭐 그런 계획은 없고요. 사실 저희는 한 달에 저희가 2번 영상 올리는데 그것만이라도 그 데드라인 맞추는 거에 그 포커스가 돼 있기 때문에 특별한 계획은 없습니다.
他の YouTuber の方とコラボしたりする予定はありますかというような質問があったみたいなんですけれども、特にないです。で、もしお声掛けがあれば、やってみたいと思うかもしれないですけど、今はですね、2週間に1本の動画をもう上げるだけでいっぱいいっぱいなので、何か他のことをやったりする余裕はなかなかないかなと思ってます。Is there anything changed from when you were just couple compared to now?
A lot.
A lot だね。カップルだった時と親になった時とお互い変化したことはありますか？ Can I go first? 親になって変わったことは、虫退治ができるようになったことですかね。After we became parents, what I have changed is I can now fight against those like what's the bugs, yeah. So
roaches and
昔はね、昔は例えば蚊とかハエとかが出てきても退治するときに僕は殺したくなくてなるべくこう昔バレーボールやってたんでこうハエとかも手で叩いてちょっと落ちてきたりとか気絶してるときにティッシュで掴んで外に放すっていうやり方をしてて、で蚊とかも同じ要領でやってて、もうアッパによく文句は言われてたんですけれども、今は蚊が出たらやっぱり子供刺されたら大変だからもう積極的に行きますし、であとは家も昔こうマンハッタンの大きいマンションみたいに住んでた時とかはちゃんと管理されてるんでゴキブリとかは出ないんですけども、今みたいにこういう一軒家のスタイルとかだとやっぱりゴキブリとかも出るんですね。でもゴキブリもやっぱり昔は退治とかも全然嫌だったんですけども、今はもうなんだペーパーナプキンでパンってこういけるようになりました。
데디가 이제 자기가 부모가 되고 달라진 점이 바퀴벌레, 벌레 같은 거를 이제 진짜 잘 잡게 됐다고. 그건 저도 마찬가지예요. 그래서 So both of us are not afraid to roaches or since becoming parents. 그리고 뭐 of course our lifestyle has completely changed. I think we said this many times, but since we became parents, we only had one date night. 이제 애들 태어나고 저희 라이프스타일이 굉장히 많이 바뀌었죠. 애들 태어나고선 우리 둘이 저녁 데이트를 한 게 딱 한 번밖에 없어요. So I think that's a big change. Yeah.
で、あとはもう他にもたくさんもう全部ガラリと生活は変わりましたね、親になってから。We don't buy our clothes. 服も買わなくなりましたし。
저희 쇼핑은 안 하고 이제 애들 옷만 사주고 we stop buying clothes for ourselves. Yeah.
ですね。あとはね、今他にちょうど今来た質問で、お子さんに強く怒る時もありますか？Do we like sometimes scold kids very strictly? 怒る時たくさんありますよ。で、あと事前に多分動画を通してアッパが子供を諭したりとかしてる場面とかがいくつか出たので、多分見てご覧になっている方の中にはダディはあまり怒らないんじゃないかっていうふうに思ってる方たちもいるようなんですが、僕もとても強く叱ったりします。 で、特に僕が叱るのは危ない時、なんか本当に危ないことを知った時とかに、叱りますね。でも叱る時に例えば、まあ、この前送り迎えとかしてる時に2人はやっぱりもうテンションが上がってタタタタタと走っていっちゃうんですけれども、角に、差し掛かる前に、まあ、角の何メートルか手前で止まりなさいといつも言ってるんですけれども、止まれ止まれって言ってもなかなか聞かずにギリギリまで行って、で他の、まあ、ジョギングをしてた方がびっくりして飛び出すんじゃないかと思ってびっくりして子供を止めたことが最近あったんですね。でその時とかもうすごく強く叱って、でもし飛び出して怪我をしたら痛いし、アッパーもダディも悲しいんだよ、悲しいからもうそういうことはしちゃいけないよっていうふうに叱りましたね。
I don't know what you said, but I'll just answer for myself. So, do you sometimes scold kids, like discipline kids strictly? So, I would say that I am a little bit more strict than Daddy. Yeah, I'm more strict. I think it's not really like playing bad cop, good cop, but a little bit of that as well. And I think it's very important when they're this young to get things right, like for them to understand the boundaries and I've read and at least also like we've discussed, and this is when you gotta really make sure that they understand the rules, the boundaries, what is right and what is wrong. So we try to keep them disciplined. 그래서 데디하고 아빠를 보면 사실 제가 좀 더 엄격한 편이에요, 애들한테. 그리고 저희 생각이 특히 이렇게 어렸을 때 옳고 그름을 잘 가르쳐 줘야지 커서 더 자기 인생도 편해지고 그리고 남들한테 피해 주지 않는 그런 훌륭한 인간이 될 수 있다고 생각하기 때문에 좀 스트릭트한 편이에요. 그래서 제 친구들이나 제 다른 사람들이 유튜브에서보다 훨씬 아빠가 엄격하다고 그런 말을 가끔 해요. So sometimes people tell me you're a lot more strict than how it's shown on YouTube. But that is true. That is true. And I think it's very important. 그리고 굉장히 중요하다고 생각해요. 어렸을 때 잘 규칙, 그리고 규범 이런 거 잘 가르치는 게 중요하다고 생각합니다. Maybe this is a good related question.
そうですね。まあ、子供を叱ることに関連して、まあ、子供を叱った後に、どういうふうに、子供をフォローしてますか、フォローしてますかという質問を事前にいただいていて、子供を叱った後とかに、まあ、最終的には、ちゃんと、ハグをして、で、子供たちが寝るときには、家族みんながハッピーで、幸せな気持ちで寝れるようにするように努めています。So after we scold them, after they understand why we are scolding, why we were scolding them, like we try to, once they understand, we just hug and then, good girl, you understood. And then when we go to bed, everybody in our family are happy.
Yeah.
Happy
So
feeling.
what we think is important is, we need to discipline them. Like we'll have a timeout or something, but once things settle, we try to explain to them why that was wrong, and then we all want to be like happy again before going to bed. Like we don't want to leave a situation where we're upset and the kids are upset. It's very important that you follow up and then you make sure that everybody understands and there's peace again. 그래서 애들을 뭐 혼내거나 한 다음에는 저희가 노력하는 거는 조금 이제 진정이 되고 나면은 애들한테 왜 이게 잘못됐고 왜 이렇게 하면 안 되는지를 좀 더 구체적으로 설명을 해주고, 그리고 이제 애들을 안아주고, 그리고 다 기분 좋게 일단 어떤 그런 나쁜 아니 좀 불쾌한 상황이 있었더라도 좋게 마무리하는 거, 이게 중요한 것 같아요. 네.
Can I get the water?
Yeah. Any other questions?
あとね、僕これちょっと違うよって言いたかったんですけれども、so some people sometimes say that I'm really skillful in terms of like many things, like cooking or hairstyling or those things, but I'm not. I was not like that, yeah, before. そう、よく、例えば子供の髪の毛をやったりとか、料理をしたりとか、ピアノを弾いたりとか、ダディは器用ですねと、言われることが、コメントをたくさんいただくんですけども、全然そんなことがなくて、今まで生きてきて器用だなんて言われたのは、この YouTube をやってからぐらいですね。Like, since we started this YouTube, like, I think that was the first time like, people called me, oh, you're a skillful man. Before, I was not like that.
But Daddy was always good at cooking. He was always a good chef. But I'm just really surprised how good he's with the hairstyling. Yeah.
今、アッパが、in Korean?
그래서 데디가 음식은 요리는 언제나 잘했어요. 애들 태어나기도 전에. 근데 애들 머리를 이렇게 잘 따주고 스타일링 해줄지 저는 상상도 못했어요. 제가 할 줄 알았거든요. I thought it was gonna be me. But 데디가 너무 잘해서 hair styling all daddy. 데디가 전적으로 헤어 스타일링을 한답니다. 너무 잘해서요. 예.
で今、アッパが、料理は子供たち生まれる前から、そこそこ上手にやってたけれども、子供たちの髪型をまさか僕がやるようになるとか、ここまでやるようになるとか、全く思ってなかった。アッパーが自分がやることになるんだろうなって思ってたみたいなんですけれども、蓋を開けたら僕がやるように、なりましたね。How is daddy's hands condition? 僕が何年も手荒れで悩んでたんですけれども、最近は OK です。まだちょっとね、気をつけながらやってますけれども、ですね。
Someone said we both lost weight.
本当？
카메라 앵글 때문에 그런 것 같은데 I think it's a camera angle. Someone said we both lost weight, but
2人とも別に痩せたよりかは太ったと思うんですけれども、痩せて見えるならよかったですですね。あとはなんだろうな、これも話したね。Do you wanna talk about?
So someone said, Chie Jiyoung-nim said, she's recommending our channel to her Korean friends, Japanese friends, and yeah, so thank you, 감사합니다.
僕たちのチャンネルを友達とかにも紹介してくださっているということでありがとうございます。で、あとはですね、いただいていた質問の中で、子育てのフィロソフィー、子供を育てる上での、理念とか、どういうことに重きを置いてますかとかいう質問が、ありましたね。僕たちはずっと、子供たちが生まれる前から、子供ができたらこういうふうに思ってほしいねみたいなのがまず強く思っているのが一つあって、それは子供たちに愛されて、子供たちが自分自身が愛されてるっていうことを常に感じられる、思えるような環境づくりをしたいなと思っています。で、やっぱり愛されてるという思いがあれば、他人を愛することとか思いやりの心も育めるのではないかと思って、そこが一番大事にしていますね。We want, so another question was like our philosophy in parenting or raising kids. Like, what do you value in raising kids? One big thing both of us has is we want our girls to feel that they are loved, because like once they are like they feel like they are loved, like they feel like safe, and then they can like also love other people,
spread love and
spread
kindness.
love.
Yeah. Maybe I'll answer the second one.
Yeah.
그래서 네가 방금 얘기한 건 뭐냐면요. 애들 키우는 데 있어서 중요한 뭐 우리가 갖고 있는 철학이 있다면 그래서 데디는 애들이 그 사랑받고 있다는 느낌을 언제나 갖게 해주려고 노력한다라고 대답을 했어요. 왜냐하면 충분히 사랑을 받고 자라야지 남들한테도 베풀 수 있고 그런 친절한 사람으로 클 수 있기 때문에. The second question is what is the hardest thing about being a parent? 육아하는 데 있어서 제일 힘든 게 뭐냐는 질문인데 제 생각에는 애들이 이렇게 어린데 그 애들을 대신해서 제가 결정을 내려줘야 된다는 거. 그리고 애들이 이걸 좋아할까? 다른 걸 좋아할까? 발레를 좋아할까? 수학 공부를 좋아할까? 이런 걸 전혀 백지에서 저희가 애들의 인생의 그림을 그려주기 시작하는 거잖아요. 그래서 그럴 때는 이게 우리가 잘 결정한 건가? 이게 맞는 결정인가? 이런 거에 대해서 좀 고민을 많이 하게 되죠. I think the hardest part for me at least is they're so young, but we have to make decisions for them. Like, are they interested in ballet? Do they want to do STEM class? All those decisions are made by the parents without really getting their input. I mean, as they grow older, they'll give us feedback. But now it's like all driven by us, and we question like, do we make the right decision? Should we have gone the other way? So I think that is the most challenging part for me when they're this young.
That's right. Yeah. 今その子供を育てることに関する質問で、別の質問が子育てをしていて子供を育てる前はそんな風に気づかなかったけれども難しいなって思ったこととか何ですかという質問で、今アッパが言ってた僕もそうだなと思ったのが、今はやっぱり子供たちが小さくてこれをやりたいあれをやりたいって、自分たちの口からは言わないので何かをするときは僕たちが決定している決断している。例えばバレエやらせてみようかとか、他のことやらせてみようかとかいろいろ僕たちが決めてそれを子供たちでやってるんですけれども、もしかしたら違うこっちの決断が良かったのかなあっちの決断が良かったのかなって考えることがそうですね、確かにすごく難しいですね。And we received a comment from Russia. Spasiba.
Spasiba.
Spasiba. So we got a comment from Russian person. He or she tried to understand this live, but since there is no subtitles in Russian, it's very difficult, but she or he is trying. 今ロシアの方からまだサブタイトルが、字幕がなくてちょっと大変ですけれども頑張って理解しようとしてますと。
After this show, we'll try to work on subtitles. Yeah?
Yes.
그 유튜브 라이브 끝나고 maybe takes a day or two, 하루 아니면 이틀 뒤에 저희가 서브타이틀 올리도록 노력하겠습니다.
普段はYouTube ライブ、長いので後で字幕をつけるのも大変で今までつけたことはなかったんですけども、今回はちょっとやってみようかなと思ってますので、字幕も後でつけます。
Someone said UCLA is a great university too. Yes.
そうですね。
But Appa's Columbia scholarship plan is still valid. It's still we're pushing forward.
UCLA もいい大学ですね。でもね、
Just kidding, right?
It's fine.
Yeah. 콜롬비아 장학생 프로젝트 계속 진행되고 있습니다. 네, 장난이고요. 근데 물론 좋은 대학 갔으면 좋겠어요. 그 저희가 이렇게 환경을 마련해주면 결국에는 그거는 애들 몫이니까 지켜봐야겠죠. It's up to them. Yeah, we try to give them the best environment as possible, but it's up to them to study hard and get into good universities. So, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions we didn't talk about? What are your future goals? 将来の目標はありますかという僕たちに対してのご質問なんですけれども、元気で働き続けて子供たちの学費を稼ぐということが目標ですね。Our goal is to keep working hard.
미래 목표가 뭐냐 아빠 되기에 열심히 일해서 애들 대학교 갈 때까지 서포트해 주는 거. So we have to work hard until they go to college. Yeah. So that's our goal.
あ
Stay healthy so that we can keep working.
We can never retire. ずーっともう定年はできずにずっと多分働き続けると思います。
Any questions from the chat? You see?
ダディがアッパに対してよく使う韓国語はありますか？ Does Appa have any specific Japanese word to use when you speak to daddy?
ダメダメ
こらそうですね。でもね、子供たちにも、やっぱりね、自然とこれいけないんでしょうけれども、やっぱダメとかこらっていうことが多くて、なんか、before like, they told me that, Daddy you always say こら、yeah? ダディいつもこらって言うんだもん。
You say ダメもの
ダメダメ。Yeah, that is ダメ。
So now our girls start talking back to us, and then the younger one told Daddy, "Dame is not a nice word. You shouldn't say that." 그래서 다메가 하지마 이제 일본말로 그 뜻인데 이제 애들이 말대꾸를 하기 시작해서 막내가 데디를 딱 쳐다보면서 응시하면서 다메는 친절한 단어가 아니야. 쓰면 안 돼. 딱 이러더라고요.
もう最近はいろいろと僕たちも文句をつけてくるようになってますので、ダメって言った時に下の子につい先日はダメっていうのはいけない言葉だよ、使っちゃダメっていうふうに、叱られました。
What's ダメ in Korean?
始まる。
始ま
もう本当にどんどんいろいろ言い返してきたり、なんか理論的に何かを言おうとしてきたりしてだんだん難しくなってますね。So I think that this year when they are like 4 years old, it's gonna be very challenging. Yeah, they will try to talk back to us more, and I don't know, they will try to talk in like a logical way to convince us. It's gonna be very difficult.
애들이 벌써부터 논리적으로 이제 아빠하고 데디하고 얘기를 하려고 해요. 그래서 뭘 하지 말라면 왜? 그리고 아빠 데디도 이렇게 했는데 왜 나는 못해? So they question a lot. Like 아빠 did it. Why can't I do it? Right? Or sometimes they're like teacher said don't say that word. Why are you saying that word? Like teacher said you should do it that way. 그 학교에서 뭐 선생님이 그런 말 하면 안 된다고 그랬어요. 아빠는 왜 그렇게 말해요? 학교에서 이렇게 하라고 그랬는데 그러니까 점점 이게 그래서 we need to be more patient. 인내심도 더 필요하고 그 잘 설명을 해줘야 되는데 어쩔 때는 저희도 어떻게 설명하지 이럴 때가 있어요. Sometimes we wonder like how do we explain this?
例えばもう家で何か子供たちを注意とかするときに何か言い方とかでこう言ったとすると子供たちがいや学校の先生はそう言ったらダメって言ってたよとか学校の先生はこういうふうに言いなさいとか言ってたよっていうので僕たちも使っていい言葉とか話していい話し方がもう何なのか分からなくなってきてきっと多分ねお子さんを育てられた方は同じような思いをされたのではないかと思うんですけれどもちょっとこの4歳を迎えてこの1年とか2年とかは難しくなってくるなと思います。
One more question. 질문 하나 더 하고
This? I don't know.
I have a question. So I think it was a comment from our Japanese viewer asking if Daddy has a job or is he a full-time YouTuber? 그래서 저희 일본에서 저희 그 구독해 주신 분이 되게 조심스럽게 Daddy가 풀타임 유튜버인지 아니면 직장에 있는 사람인지 물어봐 주셨는데요. Please.
Even same question actually came from like our daycare's like mom, yeah?
really?
You work? そうですね。あとたまに聞かれるんですけれども、結構僕がなんだ YouTube だけが、まあ、仕事と思ってる方とかがいらっしゃるんですけれども、僕たちは2人ともフルタイムで外で仕事をしています。で、あと YouTube は僕たちは一切お金を稼ぐ手段としては使ってないです。再生回数によっていくらお金が入るとかっていうのは YouTube あるんですけれども、僕たちはいろいろ考えるところがあって、あえてその一切お金をいただかないようにして設定してやってますので、これは一切1円も入ってきてないものです。外で仕事をしております。So some people, there are a couple of people like wondering that if I have work outside or I'm a full-time YouTuber. We both are working outside, and then also through YouTube we don't receive any money. We don't monetize our channel. We have our own like a couple of thoughts, so we don't monetize our channel. So we are not receiving any money.
그 데디가 한 얘기가 왜 그런 얘기까지 하게 된지 모르겠는데 둘 다 이제 풀타임 직장인이고 그리고 저희는 이제 유튜브를 통해서 뭐 수익을 창출하고 이러지는 않는다고요. 저희 나름대로 좀 저희 생각이 있어서 그렇습니다. 네.
そう昔保育園の多分保育園のに連れてった頃はもう多分 100% 在宅だったのかな。だからいつもこう汚い格好で送り迎えとかをしてた時に保育園の保護者の方たちも「お仕事何かされてるんですか?」って聞かれたりとかがあって、まあ、YouTube に限らずそういう疑問があったみたいですね。お、someone said Appa's glasses look so cool.
From Como. 고모가
あ、
보내준
そうだ、
겁니다.
コモが買ってくれたメガネです。
Okay. Yes.
OK、じゃあそろそろ1時間半ぐらいですね。もし何かご質問があればチャットに書いていただければ答えられる限りは答えたいなと思いますが、もうすぐ90分になり、90分というか not 90 minutes yet, yeah? Since because of our technical difficulties at the beginning of this.
But we're getting ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
그래서 늦은 시간인데 특히 한국에서 저희 나방 시청해 주시고 참여해 주셔서 너무 감사드리고요. 그리고 언제나 저희한테 따뜻한 응원의 메시지 보내주시고 해서 정말 감사한 마음입니다. I want to thank all of our viewers, especially those who leave us like very kind, sweet messages and all the wishes for our girls and family. So we always appreciate. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。じゃあそろそろダディダディって今友達が面倒見てくれてるんですけども、ダディダディって聞こえてきましたね。OK。じゃあ、そろそろ失礼しようかと思います。今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。またいつも応援してくださって温かいコメントとか、アドバイスをありがとうございます。これからもどうぞよろしくお願いします。じゃあ皆さん、
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
감사합니다.
Bye bye. 스파시바. Bye bye.
Yeah, press.
아,